Safe Harbor ladies. As you may have seen on the cover of this class, it says easy breezy spirit, and that is because as the temperatures have gotten warmer, I'm really noticing the air more. I'm noticing when the breeze comes in through the window and when the ceiling fan is on in the room, and just how lovely having that breeze is, or when I'm taking a walk around the block, what a relief it is because it's 86 degrees and I'm getting sweaty and then a breeze comes along. So I thought as temperatures are warmer and you all are doing yoga on the third floor, it can get a little warm up there, that we would do a class that was cooling. So we're going to do cooling breath, cooling postures, things that lower blood pressure. But this would also be a good practice, not just if you're physically warm, but if you're angry and you want to have some control over cooling yourself down and getting more back into a spirit-led place. I also thought if we're talking about breezy and being cool, that we'd talk about following the spirit. So thus the picture of the kite fluttering on the wind and how we want to follow the spirit like that. So you'll need a block for this class, and I like to have a blanket or a pillow just because we're going to have a few sitting postures, and it's nice to have the blanket folded so that we can sit on the edge of it. And when we do that, it's easier to keep that arch in the low back without much effort, and that's what easy breezy is all about. How can we have less effort and cool it down? So we're just going to begin in Sukhasana. So you can cross the ankles, the shins, or if you like to just stack the ankles, that works also. And we're going to do cooling breath. So you can do Shitali, cooling breath, which is the tongue rolled. And the inhale is through that rolled tongue, kind of like sipping through a straw, and the exhale is through the nose. And if you have not been genetically programmed to be able to roll your tongue, you can inhale through the teeth. Exhale through the nose. Either way, you'll feel the temperature of the air lower dramatically. So we're going to do a few rounds of Shitali breath, that's the one with the tongue rolled, or Sitkari breath, which is through the teeth, whichever one works for you. You might like to close the eyes and just sink into your sit bones and to the vertical column of your spine, resting your head on the top so that you feel nice and solid resting on the bones, and then can begin your breath practice. Relaxing the face. Feeling the body relax. Feeling that as the breath and body becomes stiller, the mind becomes stiller. And one more time. And you can keep the eyes closed if you like. We're going to just start circling the torso. And throughout a lot of this class, we're going to be syncing slow movement with the pace of the breath. So as you come forward, inhale. And as you circle back, exhale. Just beginning to slow down the breath, which slows down the mind, which allows us to be more attentive to where is the Spirit leading. And we can be carried like that kite upon the wind, wherever the Spirit would have us go. And other direction. I'll be going through all the major joints of the body this class so that we can become more fluid and flexible, more responsive to the Spirit, more like that kite on the wind. And then come to center and reach out in front of you and fold down any amount. Breathing into the back. And then start to just sway with the breath. Slow swaying. Just like an easy breeze. Let the movement be a relief. Just like that fresh air of spring coming in through the window is such a relief. And then walk the hands off to the left, right hand on top of left, and sink down, pulling that right sit bone down towards the floor to get a nice opening in the right side of the ribs. Really feel the breath going into the back of the lungs. Which will help cool us down even more as we tune into the parasympathetic nervous system. And walk the hands off to the right, left hand on top. Again, that left sit bone's pulling down even as the arms are reaching out. Feel how that opens the left side gate. Breathing into the back. Moving into rest and digest and out of fight or flight. Come back to the center, pause, and come up. And we're going to change the cross of our legs. So right now I have the right on top, and I'll bring the right underneath the left, and we'll repeat the whole thing again. So folding out forward and swaying from side to side, just like the effortless motion of a kite that rests on the wind, and the wind does the work of carrying it where it needs to go. And hands over to the left, right on top again. And you may notice that the forehead can reach the floor this time. That little pressure on the center of the forehead helps focus the mind. And focus on where is the Spirit leading me, drawing me, gently trying to direct me. And come up and walk the hands to the right, left hand on top. Maybe the forehead comes to the floor. Breathing into the back. Feeling the fullness of the back body rise and fall, just like the breeze. And coming to center, and maybe the forehead touches the floor this time. Small swing. And back up. Ah, isn't that refreshing? Told you it would be easy breezy. I'm going to bring my left hand off to the left, fingers facing out. And then I'm going to drop the elbow. The head of the shoulder is going to be moving into the back plane of the body as the right arm comes up overhead. And to keep this class easy, you can keep the gaze down or more neutral with the neck. Find what feels good in your body today. We're not striving. We're trying to follow the Spirit. So being attentive counts. And then come over to the right, drop the elbow, rotate that upper shoulder back, and then looking up or down or neutral. And then flowing that with the breath. So reaching up and over at the pace of the breath. Anytime you want to come back to that Shitali breath through the rolled tongue or Sitkari breath through the teeth to even cool it down some more, you are welcome. We're being easy and breezy in our spirit, attentive to where the Holy Spirit's leading, living in trustful surrender, going wherever He calls us. All right, now I'm going to come down off of my blanket here and come and get my block. We're going to come into supported bridge pose. Remember, there's 3 heights to our block: baby bear, mama bear, papa bear. I don't want you to go over mama bear. So we're going to place the block under the sacrum for bridge pose, and you can have it at the lowest or the middle height. We're going to repeat this posture and go 1 rung higher. So you might like to just start with the lowest to begin with. So we'll come onto the back. Maybe get your ponytail out of the way. And bring the heels in close to the sit bones. Reach down with the fingertips to see that the feet are pointing straight ahead. And hip points, knee points, and ankles are all in the same line. And as we lift up into bridge, we don't want the knees to fall in or out. So keep everything stacked. And we're going to press into the feet to lift the hips up and bring the block under the sacrum, the large bony plate at the base of the spine. Okay, and from there, we'll let go and loosen, tucking the shoulders under so that the heart lifts, but then everything releases down into the support of the floor, the support of the block. And we'll just passively allow the hips being higher than the heart to start to lower the blood pressure, to start to open everything up. They say this is the counter pose to sitting. Think of yourself as that kite on the breeze. Maybe close your eyes and picture how the kite is just laying in the air and moving with wherever it moves it. Keep the chin from tucking into the chest. Keep it a little elevated away from the chest, but keep the heart moving up towards the chin. And we're going to pause here for a moment. Just breathe. If you'd like to do that cooling breath as we stay here, that's fine. Keep the head still. We don't ever really want to turn the neck in this posture. And I'm going to read you a quote from Jesus to Sister Mary, the Holy Trinity, as he describes the nature of the Spirit. My Spirit works within souls imperceptibly. He does not seek to triumph by blasting all that opposes him, but like an interior light, in the end he shines through all. He is as powerful as the most violent winds which he controls. He breathes where he will, and if you allowed him to work, he would transform your world. But he has made himself your servant. Is it not he who inspires your desires, and he who waits for you to pray before answering your request? As soon as you invoke him, he is there. Although you often grieve him, he never takes revenge. But he cannot prevent you from suffering the consequences of your actions. He waits till you come back to him. His patience is indefatigable. Yes, my Spirit has made himself your servant,
so that you may learn of me to submit yourselves entirely to God. Isn't that lovely? That the Spirit is our example of submission to God. And pressing into the feet, lift the hips up off the block and set it off to the side. And then bring the soles of the feet to the edges of the mat and let the knees fall in. Arms out, shoulder height, palms up. And we're just going to turn the head and look to the right and look to the left. Moving slowly with the breath, noticing any tight spots in the neck. And wherever you find those, you might want to pause and visualize that the exhale is moving out through that tight space. That signals those muscles to relax. Just like the Spirit coming through our lives that helps us to relax. It feels so good. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together and the knees come out wide. Interlace the fingers behind the head so that the thumbs can give yourself a little neck massage. And with the armpits exposed like this, it's really hard for us to feel stressed. So this is a nice moment to close the eyes and visualize that kite and that trustful surrender of what it's like to live a Spirit-led life, a Spirit-filled life. And when we think of what that would entail, it's a fearless life. It's one of trust. It's one of knowing that God is taking care of us. And to better picture that for us, I have a prayer of Saint Teresa. Kind of gives us a picture of how we can live in that trustful surrender. Let nothing disturb you, nothing distress you. While all things fade away, God is unchanging. Be patient, for with God in your heart, nothing is lacking. God is enough. Isn't that lovely? Reach the hands under the thighs to lift the knees up. Roll onto the side and come back up into a seated posture. I'm going to get my blanket back out to sit upon. So my easy pose is even easier. That's what Sukhasana means. Easy pose or happy pose. I'm going to inhale the arms out in front of us, interlace the fingers and press out through the palms. Inhale that up overhead, and then exhale, bend the elbows wide and bring the hands behind the head. Inhale up, maybe looking up, and exhale down. Just that easy breezy, following the Spirit. Including that cooling breath if you need it. And one more time up. And one more time down. And release. We're going to bring the legs out wide. This does not have to be your widest straddle ever. We're trying to stay easy breezy, remember. Let me get my ponytail back in here. We're going to bring the arms out, shoulder height, and then just turn to the left and sweep over. Come up with the breath and turn to the right. And just following the pattern of the breath, beginning to stretch out the back of the legs and the back, but in an easy breezy, Spirit-led fashion.
that's not so striving. It doesn't heat us up so much. Helps us to cool down and stay centered and focused. And this next time, when you come to the left, have the left arm reach for the foot and then extend the other arm overhead. And we'll just bend and reach. When I think of what it's like to live a spirit-led life, I think of Adam and Eve before the fall. You know, in the fall, God said that all their work would be sweaty and laborious, that it would feel hard and difficult. And I think that's because they wouldn't be living in the Spirit. They had kind of gone their own way, wanted to think their own rebellious thoughts and do their own thing, and that's always the harder path. So think of Adam and Eve following the Spirit, being led by the Spirit, being empowered by the Spirit before the fall. Everything was effortless. It was like calming and would have just helped you feel refreshed by your work more than taxed. I'm going to draw the feet into Baddha Konasana, sitting up tall. And we're going to have our arms wide. And we're going to kind of do like a cat-cow, but a little more flowy. So drawing it in on the exhale. And inhale, opening out. And exhale, drawing in. Returning any time to that cooling breath. Just like we're drinking cool drinks through the tongue. Just sipping cool air that same way. And hands come to the ankles. I didn't tell you to splay your toes, but you can, and then look down at that lovely arches and toes, makes a little flower shape. You can hold onto the ankles, and we'll try that circling again. Might feel a little different now that the hips are more open. Flowing with the breath, waiting for the infilling of the Spirit before we move. And other direction. My back is loving this. Are you getting little snap, crackles, and pops? Free chiropractic adjustments. And just see if you can bring some mindfulness to how the spine articulates as we circle, feeling each vertebrae as it moves and is getting a chance to be more fluid and free. And we're going to turn now. You can move your blanket off to the side or pillow, whichever you have. We're going to bend the knees and keep the feet hip width apart or a little wider, fingertips facing behind you. And we're going to do a little twist here. We bring the left hand on the outside of the right leg and turn. And then with the breath, flowing over to the other side. And just kind of leveraging a little deeper twist by bringing the arm against the thigh and letting the thigh resist back. You might want to watch the hand with the gaze. If that makes you feel a little dizzy watching that kite go through the air, you can keep the chin more parallel to the floor and just turn the head from side to side in that plane. Being spirit-led means we're not acting out of our worries. We're not in that fight or flight mode that's so stressed out. We're acting with smooth and responsive grace to whatever the Spirit is leading. And then walk the hands back further, slide them back further along the mat, drawing the elbows towards each other. Lift the heart, lift the chin. I think Mary's fiat, her "be it done unto me according to thy word," is just like that. She's very relaxed about being led by the Spirit and basically saying, Lord, whatever you want to do with me is fine. It's just a picture of trustful surrender. Her floating on the breeze just like a graceful kite, willing to go wherever he leads. And then walking the hands back in. We're going to lie back. I'm going to probably need to move that a little bit. Come onto the back, stretching out with the right leg and drawing the left leg in. And then begin to rotate the ankle. Rotate in one direction and then the other. Trying to get some looseness in the joints. When the Spirit comes, we don't want him to meet with rigidity in us. Or we're saying, no, I can't because of fear or because we're so stuck in our ways. And bounce the foot. Bounce, bounce. Get a little looseness. Wherever you lead, I'm willing to go. And then circle the knee. I like to have a hand on that knee to kind of guide it around in a smooth circle. And then circling in the other direction. This is my hip that goes ka-chunk each time. It is not a super fluid hip. Try to bring a little extra mindfulness, a little extra care to help it be flexible and smooth. And then keeping that bent left leg, let it fall over the right. You can keep that bottom right leg a little bit bent, and that helps this be a little more easy and relaxed of a pose. And then we'll circle that left arm. You can draw the gaze more off to the left, make it a little more of a twist. You can bring the right hand on top of that left knee, guiding it down towards the floor. Gently, like a breeze lifting a kite, gently. And other direction. Breath is steady and smooth. Staying filled with the Spirit. And reaching that left arm off to the left, we'll turn palm down and then gaze to the left, trying to keep that left shoulder in contact with the floor. Just picture yourself in trustful surrender, like that kite, just laying on top of the wind, not worrying about anything, not letting anything distress it. And then turn the head first. Lift that knee and bring the arm on the inside of the leg. Grab the outside of the foot and we'll come into half happy baby. You can bring the right hand onto the belly so you can keep feeling the breath. Maybe close the eyes. Maybe try a couple cooling breaths as you pull that knee down towards the floor.
coming into an easy opening stretch in that hip joint. Release the foot and bring the knee back in line with the core of the body first before extending that left leg up. Interlace the fingers behind that left thigh and press the thigh into the hands as the hands pull into the thigh. Just give that leg a chance to unwind. This is all the more we're doing with Supta Hatha Kristasana. We did a lot with it last week. This week is easy breezy Supta Hatha Kristasana. You can see as the leg unwinds if you can pull it in a little more. See what happens to the breath. When we strive, are we losing track of where the Spirit is in our lives? We can always slow it down and come back. Like Jesus said, He's waiting for us to come back to Him. And release that down. And we'll just stay here on the back. Reach the arms up and begin to circle the wrists. In one direction and then the other. Want some fluidity in the wrists. Important joint. We're going to be doing some wrist work here that if you have some carpal tunnel type symptoms, this might feel really good, but take it slowly and fluidly and be gentle with yourself. Bring the palms together overhead and then rotate the palms so the palms are facing out and the back of the hands are together. And then bending the elbows, bring the fingertips down till they're pointing towards the chest. And then keep circling and the hands will come back to palms together. Then backs of the hands together, bending fingers down, and just start to make fluid circles. Repeating that motion. And you might notice that when you're just flowing with the movement, it's easier to do than when you're thinking about how to do the movement. And so it is with following the Spirit that when faith, hope, and love and trustful surrender are carrying us, we don't need to understand everything to go along. We just need to flow. You don't have to read all the fine print. And then other direction. And figure out how the wrists and hands need to open and close to flow in the opposite way. I hope this is feeling really good on the wrists of those who that's one of your issues. One more time. And then just shake out the fingers and the wrists and the arms. And interlace the fingers, press up, and then bend the elbows and bring the fingertips down towards the chest. Inhale up, press away, and exhale down. Flowing with the breath, staying cool and easy, but still getting some nice opening across the collarbone and across the upper back. And then bring that overhead. So we're stretching out through the arms. This is exhale. Inhale, bring the arms back up, and exhale down. Inhale up. Letting the breath initiate the movement, just like we want the spirit to initiate our movements. And this next time when the arms go overhead, just lay everything down. Kind of let the elbows soften. And then we'll draw the right knee in towards the chest and begin to rotate through that ankle. Soothing circles. I like to switch my rotation a lot of times. So you can either do a lot in one direction and then a lot in the other. Just keep rotating back and forth. We just want some fluidity in the joints, just like we want some flexibility in our will. Lord, whatever you want, I want also. And then shake that foot. Let it bounce a little bit. Getting loose and flexible, ready to flow with the spirit in that ankle joint. And then right hand on right knee and begin to make knee circles. Maybe the hand is on the belly. Maybe the eyes close. And you just enjoy that sense of flowing and almost floating with the breath, with the movement, just like a kite in the sky, carried about by the Spirit of God. Other direction. In that trustful surrender. Whatever you want to do with me, I'm willing. And then that triangle, the leg crosses across the body, left hand on right knee, and right arm stretches out and gaze turns out, and then start to sweep and circle that arm around. Nothing disturb you. Let nothing distress you. All things fade away. God alone is unchanging. Circle the other direction. Be patient, for with God in your heart, nothing is lacking. God is enough. The heart cry of the spirit-led, spirit-filled Christian. And palm out, down, shoulder height, turn the head a little more. Just pause and rest. Maybe the right knee bends a little more. Bring that right shoulder down towards the ground. Feeling like that kite laying on the wind. In trustful surrender. Center the head, bring that knee back up, bring the right arm inside the leg and bring the sole of the right foot up towards the ceiling. Coming into half happy baby. Maybe a few cooling breaths. With the hand on the belly. And release the foot and bring the knee back closer over the core of the body and then stretch up. Interlacing the hands behind the thigh, pressing the thigh into the hands and the hands into the thigh, and reaching out through the heel. And pausing here. Feeling how calm and cool and slow and steady we feel this point in our practice with all this slow movement and deep cooling breath. How much easier it is to tune into the spirit and listen when we're going at this pace. When our mind is more empty, more focused. Maybe pulling that leg in a little more now that the hamstring is loosened. And release. Let's see what I have. Oh, our next supported bridge. I have to roll off to the side to get my block.
So I had the lowest setting before, so I'll be moving up to the medium setting this time.
So come onto the back, make sure that feet are moving straight ahead and legs are parallel. Press into the feet, lift up, and come back down on the block, just the sacrum. Tuck the shoulders under and then let go into the support of the floor. Checking in with the knees, are they still parallel? And then letting the block and the floor completely support you. Just like a kite laying back on the wind. This is what it's like to be led by the Spirit. I'm going to read for us again that quote from Jesus to Sister Mary, because it's so informative. My Spirit works within your souls imperceptibly. He does not seek to triumph by blasting all that opposes him, but like an interior light, in the end, he shines through all. He is as powerful as the most violent winds which he controls. He breathes where he will, and if you allowed him to work, he would transform your world. But he has made himself your servant. Is it not he who inspires your desires, and he who waits for you to pray before answering your request? As soon as you invoke him, he is there. Although you often grieve him, he never takes revenge. But he cannot prevent you from suffering from the consequences of your actions. He waits till you come back to him. His patience is indefatigable. Yes, my Spirit has made himself your servant, so that you may learn of me to submit yourselves entirely to God. And let just the weight of the body sinking down into all this support be a reminder of what trustful surrender feels like, and the support that we receive from God when we hand our lives to him. Press into the feet. If you're on the highest height, you may need to come up on your tiptoes and remove the block and place it out of the way. Untuck the shoulders. Bring the soles of the feet to the edges of the mat, and we'll just windshield wiper the legs to release the back. Flowing with the breath. Maybe trying a few cooling breaths. And hugging the knees into the chest and rocking to the side. And coming up, I have one more little seated sequence. So I want to bring my blanket back.
sit on the edge of that. We're going to do a few neck releases. All right. So we'll just sit up tall first. Feel the collarbones wide, shoulder blades pulling back, and shoulder blades squeezing towards the spine. And then we'll drop the chin to the chest, keeping everything else lifted, and then rock the right ear over the right shoulder. And then down through center at the chest, and rock the left ear over to the left shoulder. So just half circles, finding any spots that need lengthening and opening in the neck. We don't want to be a stiff-necked people. We want to turn when the Lord says turn. Turn toward or turn away, whichever. He says it's time to go. We're willing to turn around and go with him. And then coming to center and drop the head back, chin lifting. And then start to rotate across the back of the body. So left ear to left shoulder, right ear to right shoulder. But just that nice arcing through the back of the neck. Feels a little more challenging, doesn't it? Like it takes a little more mindfulness. A little more snap, crackles, and pops. More scar tissue from all those times we were stiff-necked people. And back to neutral. And bring the chin over the right shoulder. And then chin over left shoulder. Just sweeping back and forth. And then look up and behind you, and down and behind you. So it's like we're drawing a little C shape with the nose as we circle with the breath, little half circles, finding those spots in the neck that need some breath and sending it there. I need to send my exhale right there. So open up and release, and then turn over to the other shoulder, looking up and behind you, down and behind you. Keeping the heart lifted, keeping the breath steady, staying easy and relaxed as we follow the Spirit, so we don't have to do such sweaty and laborious labor. And then bring the head to neutral. Bring the right palm to like the back corner of the skull, and then let the weight of the arm start to pull the head down as the head resists back against the hand. Deepen the breath. And release. Feel the effects in the neck. And then the left palm, the back corner of the right skull, and then letting the weight pull and lengthen the neck as the head resists up into the hand. Engaging muscular effort is the best way to stretch. So it's a little let go and strong at the same time. That fiat was an example of Mary's strength, that she could say because she was courageous and trustfully surrendered, whatever you want, Lord. And release. And shrug the shoulders up to the ears and drop them. Shrug them up on an inhale and drop them. And one more time. And we're done. It's time for our cool down in Shavasana. Looks like my mat has been traveling, so I'm gonna pull it a little bit down here. We'll come onto the back, hugging the knees into the chest. Begin to rock side to side. Hands on the heads of the knees, make big circles with the knees together. And other direction. And arms out, shoulder height, palms up, feet on the floor. Press into the feet, lift the hips and swing them a couple of inches off to the left. Come down on the right hip, draw in the knees and let them fall to the right while the gaze goes to the left. And feel that top hip moving down and away so that we have enough room for this beautiful deep breath that we've cultivated in this slow practice. Then center the head, lift the top knee, then the bottom, soles of the feet to the floor and straighten out the torso. Press in the feet and lift the torso up. Swing the hips a couple of inches off to the right, draw in the knees and let them fall off to the left, and gaze goes to the right. Maybe even with the eyes closed. And center the head, lift the top knee, then the bottom. And for this class, we're going to have a little longer Shavasana. So you may like to have the feet as wide as the mat with knees falling in. If you did have a folded blanket, you could turn it into a roll and place it under the knees so that they're supported and your low back feels nice and comfy. Palms up. I like to shrug my shoulders under just a little bit so that the heart stays nice and open. Drop the chin a little towards the chest so the forehead is higher than the chin. Close the eyes, relax the face. Place the tongue behind the upper teeth. And let go. Be like that kite resting into the wind. And here's that prayer of Saint Teresa again, but this time it's sung. And I really hope you can hear in the music how there's a kite there. Let's see. Hear it fluttering. Deepen the breath. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Begin to rock the head from side to side, making small movements. Inhale the arms up overhead till the thumbs touch on the floor behind you. Draw the legs together and come into a long stretch. Draw the knees into the chest and roll to the side, coming up into a comfortable seated position with the eyes closed. Inhale the arms up overhead, palms come together at the heart. Jesus, you said that if we allowed the Spirit to work, He would transform our world. And we want to be like Mary, who says, "Be it done unto me according to your word," and who rests in that trustful surrender that is so courageous, just laying back in the arms of the Spirit and being carried wherever you would have us to go. So Lord, give us the courage and the grace to do just that, to give our fiat to the transformation that you want to have in our lives. In your precious name we pray. Amen. I'll see you at Bible study. Hope you're all cooled off.